for this session. All hands meetings are very important to us as a community because they give us a chance to pause, align, discuss, critique, understand not just what we are doing, but why we are also doing it. And today, you'd find through the short but important agenda that we have on that it's really about clarity today. We are here to learn about our next steps as a community. What is the new direction that we have? What has changed? What will be changing? What are our priorities now? Is there a bigger picture that we've not yet seen from a circle perspective that connects all of our individual efforts? We are going to be learning strategy. We're also going to be, discussing amongst ourselves on how we can better move this community forward and the plans that Jan and Raphael as well have for us and for deep funding as an initiative, right? It's not just going to be all document talk or all roadmap sharing. It's going to be storytelling on where we are going and the decisions we have to make to get there. And the more we understand, the more intentional and impactful our work becomes. So I ask you to please be patient, listen as much as you can, right? Understand that this is an opportunity for alignment. All hands meetings are always opportunities for alignment. When everybody understands strategy, collaboration becomes easier. Execution becomes more effortless. Well, effortlessness is fancy, but execution becomes sharper and innovation becomes more real, right? So I encourage you all to listen actively, ask your questions, think about how what we learned today connects to your role and the outcomes we want to achieve together this year. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. It might be a lot of talk for a while, but like I said, please listen actively so you can ask the important questions and we can all contribute to moving this community that we love so much forward and have a great, 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 great year. So thank you again, everybody, for being here. Get your coffee, water, drinks ready as we welcome to the virtual stage. Round of applause. Jan and Raphael, who will be sharing first of all on the topic deep strategy, like I said, our next steps. Jan, Raphael, over to you guys.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Mario. I hope I can make good on all your promises in this introduction. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, because in terms of clarity, for instance, it's still a moving target. We just before this meeting had another meeting with SingularityNet talking about approaches and things and how we will collaborate with other entities and so on. And it will continue to be a journey. So I'm afraid not all your answers might be, all your questions might be answered in this presentation. But I hope it will give a clear sense of direction. And maybe if even if it doesn't show exactly what we want to do, it might show what we will stop doing. And that's also important. So without further ado, if I'm allowed, I will share my screen. I will walk you through it. I will do a number of slides giving the general picture, and then I will hand over to Rafa, who will do a few slides mainly on the operational aspects. Where is that button? Oh, yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Alrighty. Let me put everything in good order here so that I won't be distracted. So you see my screen, right, with that wonderful logo. Let me, yeah. Deep. As of this week, Deep is no longer deep funding. We're called deep projects, and we are also migrated to the URL deep projects. By the way, we seem to have, due to that, apparently correlated with that migration, some issues with loading speed of some pages. Not sure if that's really solved yet. We also not sure if Rojo is here, but we plan to roll out the new login with Deep function also today. Yeah, and then we're in a new reality. And I think there's some deeper meaning by moving from deep funding into deep projects, meaning that deep will become more goal oriented. Instead of saying we're open, bring your own idea and we'll see the best idea and we'll give them some grants. I think at least for the foreseeable time, I put here 6 to 12 months in the deck. So bear in mind that the vision that we are outlining here is not forever. It's an intermediate period that we are in currently, and what will happen after is the next step we will define at that time. But also in this period of time, we'll see that the work done in the program will be much more targeted and much more goal-driven from the perspective of SingularityNet. And yeah, we have to start this process, so we'll start it rather quickly. But that doesn't mean that we are not listening. You know us, right? We're always changing, we're always trying to improve, and we'll probably need more of that than ever in the coming period. Alrighty. No? Yeah. Um, so deep projects, deep as a platform. So one of the things that one of the perspectives here, I mentioned it before, but it's important to mention it also in this context, is that we see Deep as a platform and that we want to open Deep for other customers. And we can see SingularityNet as a customer. Of course, they are much more than that. They're our founder, they're our owner, they are the reason why we exist. But they also have this characteristic of being a customer or a partner on our platform. And we may see a similar relation with BGI or with other entities. At the end of this presentation, and depending a little bit on the time that we have and the eagerness that you have, I can tell you a little bit about the affiliate program that we are almost rolling out. I think we have everything more or less in place. Marcelo is creating a microsite for us with high speed, and well, maybe end of next week it will be in a great condition. Maybe we'll launch it a little bit earlier than that, and we'll give you and partners all the information. But basically, what it comes down to, if you bring a partner onto our platform and they will actively be doing things on our platform, there will be a kickback fee for the person that demonstrably helped onboarding that partner. But more on that later. On the ambassadors and BGI, so we're talking about becoming more of one organization. But this presentation is still made from the perspective of Deep. So how exactly BGI and ambassadors will integrate in this is still an ongoing discussion. We have some ideas and they're emerging and nothing groundbreaking, but think about this is mainly from Deep perspective as is. Although at some point I hope that distinction will become less and less important. Okay. Um, so this is the main thing here, and it's quite a pivot. I would say that maybe it's a larger pivot in Deep than we ever had before, and we had some. And basically, a large part of our program will change from being hourly based to project based. This doesn't go for operations because project based also means you get a budget, and the budget is gone, then the project should be completed or at least stopped. And operations, yeah, we need to have that ongoing work. We need to continue making payments. We need to continue making milestone reviews. We need to make sure that our IT structures are in place and working. So that is less suitable for a project approach. But all the other circles will have to start working on a project-based scenario. We want to roll out this quickly. So Rafa and me have been working towards this meeting, and it would have been more relaxed to wait another week or another week until we have a better idea and the ideas are more crystallized and we can give you even better information. But I think speed is important and clarity, as Mariam was already saying, is important for you because we want to avoid waste. We want to avoid that you're doing things that in this new construction may be less relevant. And we want to avoid that the budget, which we need to put to good use, is spent on things that might not warrant that. What a strange sentence. Sorry for that. Um, Also, I want to say it's not just because of the dynamic situation. It's not because of the market situation or the token price that we want to change from hourly based to project based. It's something we started thinking about longer ago when things looked quite different than they look today. And I think it's a healthy thing. The only thing is that due to the circumstances, we're speeding it up a bit. So we're doing it a little bit more cold turkey, whereas in another scenario, we might have had two trajectories and move more organically from one to the other. So that is the rationale. I listed some key benefits here of doing project-based work. Maybe you've already read through them. I think they're pretty self-explanatory and obvious, but yeah, there's the goal orientation. So we can have work done based on clear priorities. For you, there's the benefit of additional responsibility and ownership. I would say it's still decentralization, but of a different kind that we have today. There will be, at least for the coming 6, 12 months or something, a more top-down decision process in terms of approvals and budget approvals. But as with awarded teams, I would say that is very decentralized. You will get a lot of agency in how you are doing things. Easier to track outcomes because we have a clear description in advance what we want to achieve and what the features or the output is of any project. So it will also be easier to measure success and outcomes and accountability for that matter. And yeah, there's the overhead thing. I think we had a presentation from Oscar saying how our spending is. I didn't actually watch it. I didn't have time for it, and I wasn't in the call. But how our spendings in H2 have, well, I think they've almost doubled compared to H1 last year. We also did some analysis on things that are not core, like meetings like this one, circle meetings, documentation, controlling of hours, etc. If you add all of that up, and it's a mixed bucket, right? Then that would take half of the time. Now, I'm not that naive that I think that in a project-based approach, we won't have that anymore. You still need to discuss things, you still need to think about things, and there will still be some work on hours or whatever. But it will all be part of the budget that you are proposing, and you will get an approval for that or not. So it will bring some clarity and some agency on your behalf. Um, The decisions process. So this is where it all comes down to, right? So now the good news for you is that I will not be making all these decisions, and nor neither will Raphael. The budget that we are spending and that we're currently spending all comes from SingularityNet or from Eightfold, however you want to see it. We still have a budget for operations and some for product development, etc. But all these projects that I'm referring to will be assessed and either approved or rejected by SingularityNet. So I argued, and I think maybe I shouldn't put it like that. We agreed that we should have two flows there. One would be the majority of the budget, which would be pretty much top down, also in how the projects are defined. It will be SingularityNet coming up with RFPs. It will be SingularityNet coming up with marketing ideas, maybe a hackathon, maybe something else, maybe video editing work. I don't know. It could be all kinds of work, but it will be initiated and defined by SingularityNet and then going downstream into our system for you to apply, you and others to apply. But there's also another bucket which will be smaller, but still in relation to what we're used to in our process program, still very significant for bottom-up projects. And those projects will be initiated by you, by the all circles, um, will be offered to SingularityNet, and then they will either approve or reject. Now, bear in mind that the goal on the short and mid-term is helping our ecosystem grow, and that means supporting our tech stack. So projects that have a clear goal that is aligned with that bigger goal will probably have a higher chance of success. But as said, it's not me that will decide on that. Yeah, I think that covers this slide. So a visual way is to show it is this. So on the top we have SingularityNet will come up with projects. There's this big bucket. They will create and define the projects, and you will find them in our program, probably in our RFP section, maybe also in the shape and form of individual tasks that will surface. There are some details there that we need to refine and figure out. The other would be bottom up. Right now, at the start, we start deliberately with not too much of a process here, because we want to give SingularityNet the opportunity to see whatever you are defining and leave it to them to make a decision. And you can imagine also that the person in SingularityNet will say, well, maybe you can do a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that. Can you please adjust it? So there will probably be some back and forth before it's finally approved, depending also on the scope of the project. If it's really a small thing, the approval may go smoother. If it's a bigger thing, there may be more discussion. But these are one of the things we'll have to find out in practice how this works. Another flow here, which might surface in a bit when people in SingularityNet see, oh, whoa, we're getting a lot of proposals. This is eating up a lot of our time. We already thought about that. And then we have this ideation flow. And I asked the ideation team to come up with a track on the ideation portal where only you, community members in Deep, can submit proposals. And these are the kind of proposals that we expect that we would want SingularityNet to approve. So don't put all kinds of noise and rubbish in. Think about what SingularityNet needs, what the ecosystem around ASI needs. And then if you have a proper proposal or proper idea, we can funnel that and have that hopefully approved. So that would be an extra step. There could be a curation panel. We have to figure out who would be in that so that we can already, if there are 20 or 30 or 40 ideas every week, um, we can reduce your workload so you don't have to make a full project proposal, but you can start with an idea. And then when that reaches the next stage, then you know that there's a big chance that you might get an approval. Then you could put more work in it and make it into an actual proposal that then hopefully will be approved at the last step. So just to give you an idea, these are two flavors of the process. Somehow my arrows don't work. Wait a minute. Um, Two flavor of the process. This is the simple one where we start with. We might at some point get to this phase where we do it a little bit more elaborately. Any questions on that so far? Gives me the opportunity to have a sip of tea. Um, So some remarks about the bottom-up approach. So when you make a project, you have full freedom. It's your project. You can define and you can decide what you think is needed. Think about the people that need to be there. Think about how many hours you think that should be in there, and whatever other requirement you have, and on a case-by-case basis. But bear in mind that if we don't have any hourly organization in that outreach anymore, everything needs to be accounted for within the project. So if you expect, or if you think there is an expectation of documentation coming out of that project, you need to have it accounted for in your proposal. If you think that apart from the dashboard that operations will create, we need some more data analytics or data analytics that will feed into that dashboard, which is more sophisticated than the standard ones. You need to account for that. Marketing, if you expect your project to be marketed, to be published on social media, to have some kind of campaign around it, make sure it's part of that. And not only part in the budget, but also reach out to your colleagues and say, hey, we would like to, we have this great project. We also see some opportunity for some marketing work there. Would you like to be part of this project and help us with it in this particular role? So I see this as a cross circle activity and initiative. On competition, that will be diverse, case by case. So I imagine there will be some projects or tasks that will just be handed to a symbol. That goes both for bottom up and top down, but maybe even more for top down, I should say. Some projects might be assigned to a person because we already know this person did it 10 times. We don't want to go through a whole process, let him do it or her do it the 11th time as well. In another case, we know, well, there are three usual suspects. And in a third case, we know, well, we want to open it for all. I'll stop here because I have another slide on that, but it's on a case-by-case basis. Yeah, and what is really not defined yet is how we will work with the hourly rate. So if you're doing a project, you can just say, well, this is a 10K project and this is all the work that we do for it. I think it would have some merit if you are able to define how many hours you spend on it. But the question is, do we still need to adhere to that $10 an hour? I'm not entirely sure. On one hand, there's a benefit in being transparent. So if you think you're really experienced and you can do a work in 1 hour, but that hour will cost $25 because you're so experienced, and another one needs 3 hours, but he does it in $10. Maybe it's good to have that visualized. I don't know. So Right now, we might move away from that $10 an hour as a prescription because your project will be budget based. But transparency in what you're doing, how much time it will take, and the level of expertise that you bring into the project would be very important to have. Rafa, do you agree with this statement?
Yes, I do agree. And also to remember all of you when creating a project or proposing, suggesting a project, do have in mind that this will be assessed. So if you put 90% of meetings in your project, you are more than welcome to. But also the team that will be assessing that for approval or rejection will check and say, why is $50 an hour for meetings, right? So this is the balance that you have to have. Well, when I have the floor, I will also dig a bit more into this with best practices and etc. that we are willing to share with you. So yes.
In a way, this could be an improvement because right now, the most experienced people, as you pointed out the other day, Rafa, would get the least rewards because they work much quicker than an inexperienced person. And then there's the motivation to change that a little bit and say, well, I did 2 hours when I did. I can imagine there is that incentive. So maybe it's better to just have that straight and open and honest. Be aware that the higher the budgets become for similar work, the more incentive there will be for Singularity Net to add more competition on the table. So that is the playing field. It's market supply and demand, right? It's the market in action. It's not a learning curve, and we'll probably hit some issues there, but yeah, we'll figure it out. Um, So a little bit on the project competitions levels. This is also something that we're building in currently in our RFP system. So that will be formalized. So when somebody is creating an RFP, they will be able to give it to a selected person. In that case, it will not show up on our RFP portal. Nobody will see it except that person. And that person can still put up a proposal, possibly with milestones, and the RFP owner will still approve it formally, and then will goes through all the normal stages. And when it is approved, it will pop up as an awarded project, but that's the first time it will be seen by everybody. Then there is a kind of RFP that is dedicated that is invite only. So there are these 3 or 5 or 10 people that we want to react, but not everybody, because we don't want all that noise. We want high quality proposals coming in. This might come or will probably come with an optional feature of please invite me. So if there are 5 people invited, but you know I have very good expertise for this, this is my dream job, then you can click that button and you can ask for an invite, and then maybe the owner will add you to it. This is an optional feature. It might not appear on every RFP, but when the RFP owner thinks it's useful. This is all being built and actually brainstormed on as we speak. I'll skip the third one and go through the last one. Anyone would be the world. Of course, anybody submitting to anything in Deep Portal would need to have a registration and therefore a profile. But that's basically open, like the current regular RFPs are. And then this one, I noticed already, requires a little bit of explanation. So what we are doing, we're moving from deep circles to partner circles. Basically, we're merging all our circles into one partner circle. That is how you can see it. So we won't have event circle, marketing circle, documentation circle, onboarding circle, data analytics circle, developer outreach circle. Out of the top of my head here, sorry if I forget one. But it will be Singularity Net partner circle. And that will allow SingularityNet to create an RFP and assign it with one click to this internal community that we have today. And then, like I mentioned before, you can submit proposals and you can talk to each other and find each other and create an ad hoc team or build a team that becomes consistent and does more work and become more trusted, and then apply to such a project. The way I see partner circles evolve, so it's a different kind of thing. It's still called circle. We thought about different names. Maybe we'll change it, I don't know, but it's actually quite a different animal than what we have today with circles. So this circle is more, see it as a collective of people, as a group, a grouped section of our community. So there will not be weekly meetings, there will not be a coordinator, there will not be anyone checking hours, because all of that will be done within each project. It's more like a group, a grouping of people. And it will allow for some mechanics around that. So I heard Ibi say, or I think it was Ibi, in the previous meeting, we could have a marketing circle, a Singularity Net marketing circle. And then we would discuss with SingularityNet, what kind of people do you need most? What do you have in your own team? And which kind of expertise would you need? And then we could have somebody in Singularity, in the deep funding, helping that partner, which in this case would be SingularityNet, in managing that group. So we could recruit. So if we need 3 video editors, but we only have one, then we could put out a role description on our platform. Hey, the SingularityNet marketing circle is open for video editors. And then we could have this larger group. And then the next time that SingularityNet will have a task or a project for video editing, they don't need to go through that whole selection process. They will just put it in that marketing team and everybody knows who will be able to submit a proposal. Or they will directly give it to one, the third, or the second because they know these people and are working with them on a more consistent base. And the important perspective is here from Deep as a platform. So imagine that we have more partners on our platform, then we can have more of these circles, but they will be not so much in support of Deep, they will be very much in support of the partner. Another very good example, I haven't discussed that with SingularityNet, but I think it's a good example, would be AGI circle. A circle with AGI R&D people, because right now we have these RFPs and some really highly qualified and experienced people submit proposals to that. But we all know it's a very different crowd than, well, at least the average person in our Deep community. So it would be helpful to have some separation there. So if there's a new AGI RFP and Keller or whoever doesn't want it open to everybody, he can just submit it to that group of people. Now, here on the right, I say reputation, because the end, we'll have people that have reputation and that have a certain expertise. It could well be that this is a kind of intermediate situation, and that in the future, 1 or 2 years from now, we'll rely much more on individual people reputation, and we'll have a matchmaking system that will say, okay, hey, I've here this new RFP. It's about AGI, but it's also about ethics. I know the right people that have the right profile and the right reputation for you to serve. And I can imagine that there will even be a dialogue where the RFP owner will say, well, I need one super senior person, and it doesn't matter too much what the costs are, but I also need 3 junior or mediors, and I would like them to be average priced. But they need to have experience in this, and this thing. and they need to have time for the next 3 months or something. And then we could have more like an automated system making that match. And then these circles may or may not lose their meaning, but that's really to find out. And maybe we'll find another way. Maybe some partners will have different demands for that circles than others. Maybe for some it's just a group, and we'll see another partner onboarding on the platform, and they would prefer a much more intimate and dynamic hands-on relation with their circle, and that's of course also possible, and we can see how that works out case by case. I'll need to move on to the next slide. If anybody has a question, let me know. Rafa, this is you.
Yay, time. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Well, everyone, as you can see, a lot has been happening in this relation with SNet and ecosystem. And our main goal in all these interactions was to protect what we have built, protect this all circles community, but also take a look into what SingularityNet needs, right? So it's a two-side perspective that we have to assess and bring some solutions to mitigate issues, to take care of people, and so on. So a lot of discussions in between myself, Jan, others in the team as well, always aiming in this frame. But here's the thing. Perhaps some of you are thinking, oh, with these changes, things will get worse. But I would like to invite you to have a different perspective if you are having this in mind, because here with changes, we have also opportunities, right? And with this, as you can see, this project approach is a first big opportunity, especially to attend. And as I am in contact with all of you practically, I can say and be proof, living proof, that some of you also would like to have things in different ways, especially or also when related to the rewards for your work, right? So this project approach also goes in that direction of having you being rewarded in the way you feels as more fair, right? This is only one of the benefits of this. Besides the project, later Judith will jump, so we are giving you more opportunities. Again, as I am in contact, I can see many of you working and going towards this affiliate program because you have this within your personality and profile and you like to. So it's also another door that is going to be a new one. So don't want to sound cliche here, but if some doors are closing, others are opening, right? So I hope you can have this positive perspective in everything that's happening here. And the feeling might be, yeah, now it's going to be a black box where we put their things and we don't know how to do or operate or how to thrive in this environment. But we are still here to bring this to you. So as I mentioned before, the idea is to have best practices for projects submission and how they can thrive, where they can be more aligned with what SNet demands and is willing to. So this interface will keep evolving during the time and ongoing process, okay? In the same direction, we are, it's a kind of an old idea that I had I'm willing to have the ideas developer kit. It's like an SDK, but for you to give your ideas. So you have to have a broader perspective when proposing a project. And I see here Jan smiling a bit because IDK, right? I don't know, no, but it's not like this. It's the idea developer kit that we are going to have. You have to have a broader idea. For instance, it's not only the idea. You have to think through all marketing for that, awareness after is done, education for potential tool that you suggested creating, documentation, and so on. So all has to be capsulated in one project to go forward. Okay, and we, as Jan mentioned and put in the slide, we are splitting now. Not the perfect wording here, but we are bringing this operational layer or operations layer, right? Where it's going to be more focused in making the program role go on, right? I would just, yeah, you mentioned that, yeah, all the circles are gone. Indeed, they were concatenated in these layers. We have the outreach layer, we have the operations layer. But in the case of operations layer, they still have per function, as you can see here, IT, operations, review, lab. We still have some members in charge of these functions. Okay, we are calling more now as a function of this layer. And they are going to be in charge and taking care and will be more accountable on the results, but also the work that has to be recurrent in those functions. Okay, I will be this week still get in contact with some of you to discuss this approach here and potentially invite to be part this. This doesn't mean that these members can't go and also submit projects in this framework that we are developing. Okay, so the idea here is everything that Jan put at the beginning, this project approach, but we have this need here in the operations layer. We also have within operations, but I am willing to have it more focused. Another function as financial payments, right? Because it's something really important for all of us. Absolutely, yes. This product platform that comes, and product in the sense of the platform or developing tooling that we need, and we have this dev team, so it's yet another layer. Jan, can you please jump to the next one? By the way, the review function will keep most of the reviewers because they are going to be fundamental also to review the projects the deliverables from projects that were approved. Okay, so in this organizational restructuring here, very well defined within a project, as I mentioned, right? You are going to have a budget. And within that budget and your success criteria that was defined at the beginning, you have to achieve that success criteria within that budget in order to be paid. Well, if you goes beyond your budget and you are okay with that, but we are going to, of course, be in the budget itself, right? And the project owner, which we expect and we envision that the project owner will be most of the times the person that proposed that project itself, because it's a need or demand of that member or that area of Singularity Net and so on. So this person will be in charge and in contact with operations layer in order to do this recurrent processes, either for payment or review and etc. Okay. We are going to have also, Jan mentioned these partner circles here that they are going to be deeply in contact with the the operations. But again, it's mentioning here what Jan already um, said before about this. I wouldn't call it closed, right? It's not a closed group, but they will be selected, and we are discussing about having a resource manager that will be in charge of that particular partner circle to assess, hey, we need more people in this direction. Ian mentioned here about the video editor, for instance, as an example. And this is going to be the person or the persons that will take care of this demand and offer within this partner circle. Okay, and these two people will also be under the operations layer and in direct contact with the operations layer and the circles. Next one, Ian, please. Taking care of the time as well because we still have more to. Okay, yeah, here is the community resource manager, as I mentioned earlier, to monitor the needs of the circle and the partner, but also taking care of the members that are in that partner circle to as vetted individuals. Okay, I think we already extensively talked about this. Of course, more to come through this upcoming days and potentially weeks for us to give more and more information to you. Up this point, anyone? I saw a hand. And anyone would like to inquire or Vani, please.
Yeah, just quickly, where you're talking about vetted individuals and you're kind of saying that anybody who's not in operations circle at the moment becomes part of a kind of more generic circle, who are they vetted by and how's that happening?
That would be the responsibility of these community resource managers, in this case, resource managers, right? Which is, yes, thank you, Jan.
Oh,
Here.
okay. And I'm still not fully clear who those are.
We are going to get in contact, but these are members of the community that are going to have this responsibility of managing this onboarding, offboarding as well, right? In this sense, within these partner circles.
All right,
Okay.
cheers.
Thank you for the question, Bunny. Guys, anyone else? I know it's perhaps a lot, but yep. Cardozo, please.
Yeah, I can make a question. One question I have, for example, is so what happens to things and initiatives that are ongoing at community hubs and things like that? What would be the process? The stop? Does it have to be submitted as a proposal to Singularity Net? How do we move forward?
Yes, Rafa. We see the community hubs as fundamental for this expansion of deep projects, and also ASI, I would go that far, right? We are going to be able to be more capillary as the very own concept of hubs that we previously defined, but they will be implemented in a project approach. So for the current hubs, they will have to go through again the process of given their experience, capabilities built so far, they are going to go into this project, let's call it pipeline. But let's be honest, they do have more chances of approval because they are developing this work and they know the ins and outs of this, of such. And it will, as it is today, they will be brought through the review circle for approval in their deliverables and so on. So it will change, but not that much as well, because it's kind of an it's an RFP, right, for hubs, and the process will be the same in this sense. Let's put this way, but with a new need for a new round. Okay, is it answered?
Yeah, I think so. I guess it's a question we have for everything we do, but I guess we'll see little by little and we can find out
If I'm
what
not
happens.
mistaken, sorry. Yeah, this of projects and well, what we do now, what's becoming. We are going to go through the next slide, next after the next one. Yeah, please. So here's the view, guys. When we talk about layers, right? We have these partner circles here, which is the outreach layer, as we use it to call it, in the sense of here are these members that are going to be in a broader community. So you have the basically, in this case, anyone in that frame that Jan brought. But for the partner circles itself, vetted members in a bigger um, pool of people that can participate. Okay, and this bigger pool can also be achieved by tasks. For instance, hey, we have these tasks here. Would you like to? Who would like to execute this? But before, after it goes through the partner circles and no one raised their hands. A lot to be, and I think it was in one of the first slides of Jan. It's defined, but it's not written in stone. Some things might change, especially after implementation, right? We can have these changes slightly here and there. Bottom-up buckets, SNet bucket, which would be called well, the top-down. Let's put it this way, not ideally call it, but it is, and the partners funds that will come with the BizDev. Here we have the deep operations, giving support to all of this to happen, right? And beneath the operations, we have products and platform, which will give support on their on deep operations time. As a member of the community, why not? You can also go there and give ideas, as we have been discussing and experimenting for a long time now. If you see some opportunity here as a project, you can go there and say, hey, I have this idea because I see a gap. And then it's going to go through the process of selection and funding. Okay. Next one, please, Jan. As I mentioned, the tooling is here, right? It was interesting, not surprising, but interesting when SNet came with this new approach for us. Everything that they would put as a requirement, we would say, we do have this tool here, which with minor changes will be suitable to support this process or need. And we composed this. We are going to also be discussing with ambassadors and potentially bringing also some tooling from them to compose this full suite of tools to attend these new processes here. So for instance, ideation portal, as many of you already know, bottom-up ideas. the RFP section that will be mostly used by SNET requirements or SNET demands, the deep lab infrastructure that we also are going to use, and of course, deep ops, which is the operation system that's being developed with for payments and reporting. That's going to be really, really fundamental for us, especially with the partners part, because we want to be very transparent with them, but also with the partner circles as members in the community to have the information dashboards and so on. Okay, Ian, please. And here, projects and processes. So again, review circle, as I mentioned it, they will still be, I was about to say use it, but not the best word, but they still be active in this process here. However, in the partner process, if the partner says, hey, I want to do this review, it's their choice, right? We are going to create this distinction here because they do have the best experts, they do have the will of approving a deliverable because they feel that is very critical for their operations and so on, right? Dashboards, as I mentioned it, that we are going to have here and for partners to check, but also internally as members and operations and staff to check, right? And that process where it's still to be defined a minor part on who will approve or not. So it's SNET, but internally, this internal process we are defining here. But one thing that we are really aiming, and not only aiming, but keen to have, is this project owner embedded in this process to be accountable on that project itself. Of course, the whole team, if it's a team, it can be also only one person deploying the project. But we really, from a while now, we need more accountability from members in that project, specific project, to be in charge and say, okay, I am responsible for this, so I'm going to make it happen, right? And if I don't, I am going to be also well responsible for it. Okay, and then the request for changes here, which is to be defined. Again, we do have most of things already in designed and with architecture, but some are still defined to be defined, and of course, looking forward to hear from EU. Yeah, please, next one. Transition period. Transition period, guys. And now I address a bit of what Cardoso put it here. We know that we can't say, yeah, from now that we had this call, everything is changed, right? Well, no, this is not feasible or desirable, actually, to have, and also in respect to you all. We don't want to have this rushed or in a way that we can't count on your perspectives as well. But at the same time, we have a need to go fast in this sense, right? We need to change this perspective, and as a change, having you all participating into that, but it has to be executed. There are some insights from SNET that we have to also achieve, some thresholds that we have to achieve, and this procedure of transition from hourly based payment to projects, it's indeed no pressure here, let's put this way, but it's needed. So for the circles, current circles, we are going to request you a list of the ongoing and recurrent tasks that you execute today as a project, as a list of projects, for you to see and assess how these recurrent things can become a project. Okay, always in mind with this situation that, yeah, perhaps it has to be broader than only the narrow view that I work here in a silo, but also bringing other circles, initiatives and needs into this project. So I am from a circle that needs to use marketing for this particular project. Hey, marketing, let's talk here to work on this project and then be more clear. Okay, as it's here in parallel, these templates, even for delivering this type of project assessment or definitions lists, operations will also provide, but don't wait for it. Already start to draft what you see in your circle that can become a project. Okay, this is going to bring some friction. We are not blinded to this. We are working on a new frame. I mean, we are changing to a new frame, and many of the things are not known by us. No one, not even SNet or us or Circles itself. It's going to be a new paradigm that we are going to create here, but we do have to start from somewhere, right? And we decided to go in a learning by doing process as well. We have plenty here already described and drafted, but definitely while we are implementing this, we are going to learn and pivot here and there. Okay. Yeah, exact timelines to be defined. Okay, but let's start this process. And I count on each of you having in mind that you are going to be even more free. You are going to have even more freedom to what you are willing to do in this project approach, right? And more fair rewards in what you deliver. So this is if we can frame in what's in for community members in this case, it's exactly this. You'll be more able to work in what you really think it's valuable to the ecosystem, as it was Hyper on ASI chain with the variations of ASI compute, ASI create, and so on, restore, and so on, but also with the perspective of being more fair to what you deliver. Okay, please have this in mind. I believe the next one is not. No, okay. Yeah, the dependencies on everything that we are discussing, especially with the SNet and these discussions and dialogues that we are having, right? So updating the ideation portal for this, Jan mentioned that he's already with the ideation crew developing these RFPs. It's also another process or tooling that we are updating. Decision panels, as I mentioned it. So for instance, with SNet, the big bucket will be mostly decided by SNet, but we are designing this approach, right? Project definition templates, as I mentioned it as well. Again, and I would like to reinforce this. it's not because we don't have a template for this that you shouldn't be already listing and checking who would be the stakeholders in that particular process that you believe can become a project within your activities. Okay, dashboards, review process. Review process, it's more clear because it's a long. It was our first circle. We have growth. Our last year growth in the processes and expertise experience in that circle was amazing, given the members, the coordinators in there. Yeah, the payments process, which we are already there, especially with the new, with the one interesting here is that we are going to have more automated payments as well. I don't want to get too deep into this. We are going to have more, especially when we are considering partners that are bringing projects to us. And yeah, and contracts that's going to become when it's needed. So it's going to be a case by case. Now I believe the next one is the affiliate program, right, Jan? Yes. So guys, again, when I first saw this new perspective, I had a resistant point of view. But as I was digging up and thinking more about, I saw, you know what? This is something, many of what we are designing here were already in some thoughts or discussions. Hey, let's change this or change that to improve our results, but or to improve the members' contributions and participation and rewards. But and then I got from this perspective, I migrated from the resistance to it to this, yeah, this is actually an improvement and it's going to be even better from many, many, many perspectives. So please have this in mind and assess everything that we are discussing here and presenting from this positive perspective because it is. It is. Okay, thank you. And I think it's Judith now or it's you, Ian?
Let me start first by apologizing for putting you on the spot and handing over too early. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there was a different title, and I thought this was your cue, but you did splendidly, so nobody noticed. Shouldn't have said it, probably. Yeah, thank you for presenting all of that. I would also, so maybe at some point we can give full transparency on all budgets and things, etc. But we need to make sure that that is all clarified and set in stone. I think if you would add up everything, then there's still a very sizable budget to be spent on the program and on you and projects you can do. If you count the projects, the big bucket, it would be more. It might be that some of the budget that was originally mainly thought of as going through AGI RFPs and things like that might now also land in the community for work to do. So I think if you would look at it from a purely budgetal view and in the context of you as a community, it doesn't necessarily need to be a step back. It could even be a step forward. I also want to mention, but very cautiously, that besides these two buckets, Rafa and me, we still have a budget for deep. I plan to use that mainly for the platform and maybe for some ad hoc things here and there that we can just decide upon that we need to do some ad hoc task or some small project. I call that the oil in the machine. So we have some wiggle room here to do something, but it will be an exception. The basic flow will be by project and by approval by SingularityNet. And the other way, that other smaller budget will be mostly initiated by us. At least that's how we see it right now, but we'll see how that will evolve. There was something else on my mind, but I forgot. Yeah, so we're now at the stage we can talk a little bit about the referral program. I only got 2 slides for this. I think, Judith, you had a great idea the other day of having a separate session on this. We could call it a training session. So for those of you that are interested in this program, we could spend an hour on that or so, and then walk you through the website, the microsite that it will be probably a subdomain on deepprojects.ai, but it will be really targeted to refer affiliates, as we call it, and partners. We can walk you through it and we can answer all questions you have, etc. But on the other hand, I also don't want to let you leave without getting this perspective as well, and at least planting that seed. So, Judith, I'm not sure if you saw my latest edition here, and not sure if you would like to take over or if you would prefer me to do this last step.
I can give a very brief overview, and you can add any additions.
Yeah, in the slide after this one, I have an example and a calculation example of what the rewards would be, just so you know, in case you didn't see.
Oh, yeah, perfectly. I was gonna give an example like this, but if you have it written out, then I'll hand
I'll
that
show it to you
part over.
already, then I'll go back. So this is what I put in there, but we won't get distracted by that just now. So please go ahead, Judith.
Well, my structure is a little bit different, but it's close enough, I suppose. So yeah, the Deep Partner Affiliate Program invites the community to find leads or use their network and find qualified leads there and refer them to our platform and invite, you can invite partners to publish their request for proposals, run their ideation challenge, or host their funding round, or maybe request a project being built in our deep lab. So who can become an affiliate? If you're part of the deep program, you're eligible. So there's not very strict rules there. If you're part of the program, you're eligible to become an affiliate as long as you adhere to the terms and conditions, but they're not too strict, and we'll get into it in a little bit. How do you become an affiliate? It's also very easy. On our partner side, we're going to have a little microsite for affiliates where you can request your affiliate link, and that's basically all you need. With that link, you'll send your lead to a form where they can fill out a little bit of information regarding what they're interested in doing on the platform, and we'll always be able to track that lead back to you. So what does a qualified referral look like? So this is going to be really important because we were afraid that people are going to give us a list of emails or some random contacts and then say, hey, this is a qualified lead. So a qualified lead is someone who has registered via that form. So you're going to request your link, you're going to send them to the form, and they're going to register on the form. So now we have them in the system. And a qualified lead is someone who actually signed a contract and they agreed to either have an RFP or an ideation challenge or a funding round on the platform, and they have allocated funds. So at the moment they allocate funds to a certain project that they want to pay the milestones, for example, that's the moment where you're going to get a commission. So let's look at that commission, like since we're talking about commissions, like let's look at an example. Jan, do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have $500 rewards for an ideation challenge and 60% of the revenue on allocated funds during the first year. So What does that mean? So if a partner publishes one ideation challenge and 2 RFPs of each 50K during the first year, the referrer will earn 1,800 plus 500, which is $2,300. Not bad. My example was if someone puts, let's say, if someone wants to allocate 100K towards an RFP, your referral fee or your referral commission would be 1,800, which I would say that's worth it.
It's almost the same.
Yeah, it's a good commission. I mean, that's in many countries that's a full-time like monthly salary, I would say. And that's just for one referral, right? So do you have any questions until now?
Yeah, I can add to this. It would be it's just one referral, but would also be a major milestone for Deep, right? To have partners on our platform. The best way to grow and the best way to get sustainable work flowing down would be to get more partners. And it's a win-win if we get more partners on our platform. For SingularityNet, it would be wonderful. It would increase their reach because whatever they would put on our platform in terms of RFPs, etc., would be seen by a much larger organization. And these larger organizations, if they come to our platform, they will bring their own communities and their own work, and that will also flow back to you in the terms of assignments, and also to Deep as a program in terms of some fees that we will be charging.
Yes. So anything that the partner allocates within the first year, you will be eligible for the commission. Some things, I mean, the terms and conditions are not too strict, but here's something that we don't want to do. Make any misleading, false, or exaggerated claims. Like you're for sure gonna get 1,000 proposals submitted, or you're for sure gonna find the best developer on the planet Earth, or for sure Ben Goertzel is gonna help you build your product. Like any false or misleading claims, please don't do that. What we don't want to happen is that we overpromise and then underdeliver. It's one of the worst ways of doing business. So also any promises regarding guaranteed outcomes, regarding funding, regarding even approval of the platform usage, right? We're not going to onboard absolutely every partner. There's going to be some that are going to be misaligned with what we're trying to do or what our overall mission is. If it's very misaligned, we're probably not going to onboard them. But we trust your judgment that you know or that you can sense what type of partner would be a good fit for the Deep Funding platform. Yes, please don't misrepresent Deep in general. And we're definitely no legal, financial, or investment advisors. So, and please don't spam. So these are just a few very common sense rules, right? And there's not that many more terms and conditions. So it's pretty straightforward. And we're going to have the website up next week, hopefully, which will be, we'll make a post once it's up so you can get your affiliate link. And then we're probably gonna organize a training either for next week or the week after, where the people that are interested, they can come and we can train you or tell you a little bit more in depth about the product, because that's one of the things you're gonna have to do. When you refer a partner, you're gonna have to tell them what they can do on the platform, and they probably have questions. So it would be good to have a bit more in-depth knowledge rather than just saying, hey, you can publish an RFP or you can host an ideation challenge. I think a lot of people do not know what that means. So if you are interested in becoming an affiliate, we'll put out a post in the all hands and you can comment if you want to be part of the training so we have an idea that there's interest, if there's interest. Yeah, and do you have any more points? And
Well, I want indeed to emphasize that the partner, the microsite as we call it, has two purposes. It's to educate the partner, but it's also to educate the affiliate so that you know what you're selling, basically, and that you know what you're promising. And sometimes I realize that yeah, I've been here from the very start, and I know all the nitty-gritty details, but I can't expect everybody to have that same knowledge. Also, for any candidate partner to come here, it's overwhelming. So I felt the need to have some site that gives some information, also some information on backends and processes that are not immediately visible, but very important, like how does it work with that automated payment system, as we call it, where you can log in some of your funding to a project. How does that work? How does that look? It requires a lot of trust. And this is also the reason why over the past month, 2 months, I think it is, I've asked Gail to be in charge of creating some video material. And I asked a number of you also to create some videos because we will hosting those also on the website. So some of them will be really high level, like an overview, a helicopter view of what we're doing in 1 or 2 minutes. And some, if a potential candidate is really interested and they want to have a good look on how our review process now works in real life, they can have a slightly longer video and get an impression on that. So there will be over time, it's not all done yet, but there will be a library of videos there, which I think will be a great help for all of you as as supportive material to make a good case for what we have to offer, because we do have a lot to offer, maybe too much in some ways, but not all of that is easily visible. So yeah, would also be a good opportunity for that training session to ask questions and to explain some things. And yeah, maybe we should have a training session each quarter or something for new people coming on. I don't know. We'll record it also, by the way. There will be another video. Also, the microsite will have all informations on terms and conditions and so on. We work with our legal advisor to make sure it's very lightweight actually, but we want to make sure that the expectations on both sides are clear. And it will have a self-service environment to create your own referral code. So a referral URL, it's actually it will give you a unique individual URL to the partner submission form. If you share that URL with anybody and a partner or partner candidate will submit that they are interested. It's not like a contract or anything. They will just say, okay, this sounds interesting. I'm interested in this, this, and this. And then maybe I'll have a call with them or Judith or somebody else. It will have your name on it, so to speak, your code, your unique code. So from that moment on, whatever happens, we can always track it back to you. We know that you gave that partner that code. So
And
yeah. Oh,
that
And
I
the
would
best
like.
news ever, wait, Rafa, the best news ever is that the first project they do on the platform is absolutely free. So they don't even have to pay a platform fee. So basically, if you onboard someone currently, they can do all of that absolutely free of charge. They just have to allocate the funds to whatever project they're choosing, but none of the money goes to us. But even better news, you're still getting paid your affiliate commission. So
yeah.
Premium.
I would like to also express my gratitude here to a lot of folks who've been working on all that backend stuff, which makes this possible. First and foremost, Roho, who's been creating almost single-handedly, at least with very little guidance, a very great back office portal. I'm not sure if he's here right now, but Also, Edwin being in charge of our infrastructure and supporting all of that, and a lot of other people working on that as well. And also people from SingularityNet, by the way. So Albina's team is the team that created the smart contracts that will make all of this possible and would be, yeah, a precondition for doing all of that. So a lot of work went into that. Yeah, and in the coming weeks and months, it will be interesting to see if we can make it pay off. And I really don't know. Like I say, the first two, three, four, five partners will be extremely important. And if we get that ball rolling, I'm very confident that we have something really good going here, and that we can, it will be a ball getting bigger and bigger, right? But having said that, these first steps will still be a challenge. And that's
Yeah,
up to you and all of us to make that work.
yeah, yeah. It's mostly in your hands to make your own rewards and etc. And I would like to reinforce and shed light on something that was said here, but that I want to really that I wanted that you really understood that you can, for instance, bring a partner and receive the rewards from this referral here. But the same project that the partner is bringing, you can be part of. And then you can again receive rewards on your work there, right? So it's a two-way that you can bring the partner and then work in that project that the partner is selecting. So it's yet another motivation for you to bring partners to win twice.
Win-win. I think we should give Finucci the stage.
Yes, thank you, Jan. Thank you. I have a quick question. Well, I have two questions actually. Is there already a partner persona? Have you guys already created one to sort of give a strong description to the business developer to know exactly how to outsource the partner? If there
So
isn't one,
from
okay, okay. If there is
from
already one, that's yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
from how you sound, I think you're Gael, but I didn't
Yes, it's
realize that.
Rakosi.
And somehow I don't see you right now. I don't know why that is, but never mind. Yeah, very good question. We've thought a lot, so we spent a lot of time on that. Um, but I think it's also a little bit up to the affiliate. I think every affiliate will have their own network and their own strengths, and I can give you some perspective. I think the platform would be perfect for NGOs because they can create their own community. It's a global community. We're also in a lot of low-wage countries. We could be attractive. And it's very transparent what we're doing. Whatever money is spent on whatever project, you can track it and you can see it online. For the same reason, for some governments, it might be very attractive to do something because, especially in areas where the trust in governments is low, this could be a tool that can bring that transparency, which otherwise would be very hard to get. Another quite obvious option would be Web3 programs. When we have that microsite and everything done, I will reach out to a few that I happen to know. But maybe there are Web3 programs out there that would also like to start either a program like Deep Funding was in the early days, or would just like to issue a few RFPs. Yeah, we can onboard them and they will feel totally comfortable with the Web3 payment process and blockchain, etc. underneath. A third option I can see are just commercial enterprises. Because you have reach to AI, knowledgeable people, and to a wide selection of people, you can build your own community using an ideation challenge. You can start with an open-ended project in deep lab and see where it will bring you. You can do have experimentation there, or you can have a turnkey solution for having some solution built via an RFP. And we could do everything. You can give us an idea. We can have the RFP written for you. We can have the proposal selected for you. We can make the contract and we can review and approve the milestones until the whole thing is done and then hand it over. And all that is traceable and visible in the system. Or you can do all of that or most of that by yourself. You can say, I will write my own RFP. I know best which proposals I want to award and select. These milestones, let me approve the milestones because I know when a milestone is right better than you know. And so on. So we have a lot of flexibility in our system, both in the way the processes are done and in all these options we have. So we can have an ideation round, we can have an RFP, we can have lab, but a candidate, a partner, could also use our platform to have a hackathon organized. And I'm sure we can find some people that would be interested in organizing that for a third party. I'm probably even missing something here. I have the idea that I'm missing something, but there are a lot of opportunities in our platform and a lot of ways to work with it. So therefore, we shouldn't narrow ourselves down to a very particular use case. A good example, I think, is the first partner that we had in-depth discussions with. I think we had 5, 6, 7, 8 meetings with them. I wasn't in all of them. They were called Tech to the Rescue. We got to know them in the United Nations AI for Peace thing. AI for Good, I don't know, I don't remember. But they didn't fit in any of these boxes because their business model was yet different. They are a matchmaker bringing people together, NGOs that want to have something done for good, and agencies that want to do some pro bono work. Now, our platform didn't, and our proposition didn't quite fit there. But if they would have been and are enthusiastic enough, I would be open to make some changes there and to say, okay, well, let's have an awarded project or a section for pro bono projects. That's possible, right? So we're in a good place right now. Remember the old days when we were on Sway, which was a nice project, no problem there, nice people. But we were limited by the solution that we had. From that moment, we built a lot, like 2.5 years or so, or actually from the beginning in a way. We have been building and building and building, and now we're at the stage where we have all that tooling, but we have it all in-house, so we can make any change somebody wants. If a partner says, well, it's all nice and great, but I want all that information on my own website, but I want to have it formatted in a certain way, we'll just give them an API and access to all that information, and they can do with it whatever they like. Or we can help them with that, and they can make a project out of that or a task. So, yeah, I think flexibility is a key word here. And I think I would also leave it a little bit to your imagination and creativity and your contacts and your network to figure out what will be the best fit. And yeah, I think something in the area of NGOs or governance would be very nice because the public and ethical outlook of that. And that could be rather large collaborations. But on the other hand, if somebody just comes on our platform and they have 3 or 5K to spend, that's also very welcome. They can start an ideation challenge or they can just put out an RFP for 5K and have that done. I would welcome them with open arms.
Okay, perfect. perfect. It gives a better picture. And I'm sure that as we go along, we're going to be able to refine that. Now, my second question is, okay, usually in in such a process, you would have the affiliate who would bring the partner to the door. And then you would have an internal sales team that would, that they would hand the partner over to, that would now take the partner through the sales cycle and make sure to convert them into a paying customer or a paying partner or an investor. Now, and then the affiliate would get sort of a percentage just for bringing that qualified lead to the door to the sales team and handing it over. But based on Judith's explanation, it's as if the affiliate is also responsible for the sales process. So, okay, you don't get rewarded for bringing a qualified lead to our ecosystem. You get rewarded when they actually make a purchase, when they actually make an investment, right? So I'm thinking to myself, what happens if what if the case when the partner is qualified, right? Because they fit the criteria, they did want to invest initially, they come to the door, but it just so happens that maybe it's our internal processes or something internally that puts them off and they end up not making the purchase. I'm just thinking negatively here. I shouldn't be, but I'm just thinking, okay, but then this affiliate had already spent, let's say, 1 month, on LinkedIn talking to these people and brought them to the door. Is there an incentive? Is there a way to incentivize that, quality, that the fact that they at least brought a qualified lead to the table, right? But we failed to convert them, or like how does that work? How does that look for the affiliate? I just want to know.
The simple answer is no. We don't give rewards for affiliates that don't convert to become a customer. That doesn't make you responsible for the whole trajectory. Um, I don't want to put ideas in anybody's head, but you could just get an affiliate code, post it on a social media platform, and see what comes in. And there will be very little effort. But only the ones that will actually convert will bring some revenue. I talked a lot about top-down projects and how SingularityNet is in charge of our budget and approval. Now, I don't want to get into a situation where we say, hey, we have this great incentive program and we have these people, business developers, etc. here. This is the budget that we require for it. And they will say no. Because the focus of SingularityNet right now is not on building out deep as a platform. It's in the coming 6 to 12 months, it's on the ASI ecosystem. So I want to make sure that there's no hurdle here and that we can do and work on deep without any friction or frustration or risks of budgets being cut off on that reason. So this will give us the flexibility that we need. Therefore, we made it completely performance-based. And there's one other reason. If a partner comes to the door, a potential partner, I'm afraid the best person talking to that person, to that candidate partner, and explaining what is and is not possible, and what is possible today, and what might be possible with a little bit of effort, would unfortunately be me. Because I have most knowledge of the platform. I know what's in the pipeline, I know what's hard, and I know what's easy. And at this stage, it will be hard to bring some other people at that stage where they would be able to do that equally. Maybe Judith could support there as well, and maybe one or two other people, but not a whole office. However, if this would become successful, what we will see is that the processes will become more streamlined. Our offering would become more clear and more crystallized in a way, more articulated. And yeah, by the revenues we are bringing in from those partners, we might be able to grow also our BizDev department. And then maybe we'll change also those conditions and have a different way of rewards. Also here, nothing is set in stone. Also, the reward mechanism will have to figure out how that works. Maybe we'll change that in some way as well. That will also be mentioned on the microsite. So it's a jump. I'll try to do my part. I'll promise you, I'll do my best when you get a qualified partner at my desk. I'll do my very best to convert this person to become a real partner of Deep. Would make me very proud and happy.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
So this is why Rafa needs to do a lot of work on operations, right? Because I'll be completely overwhelmed with all those candidates that you bring and put meetings in my agenda, etc. All right. I have a hard stop in 15 minutes. We're running over 15 minutes, but I think this is one of the most significant all hands that we have had for a long time. So I'm happy to run over a little bit more, but be aware that I do have to leave in 15 minutes. Rafa?
Thank you. And I have a question, but it's not so much for regarding the affiliates, but regarding the presentation and the slides. I don't know if I'm asking the question correctly, but that was what I understood. So maybe other people understood the same and it could be clarification. But I understood that we are now moving into projects. We'll do projects. We'll put goals into these projects, and I guess the payment is only comes with the approval of these goals. At least that's what I understood.
Yeah.
So would
Yes.
that mean that, for example, I don't know, giving a simple example that we can make it a little bit more real. If we were to host an event and we said we would get 70 people, but we get 60, then it would mean that there would be no payment for the work delivered with the project.
I think that this depends on how you formulate your KPIs in that proposal. You could say there is this base reward and there is a performance-based reward, and the higher the performance, the higher the reward is. So that's up to you and the stakeholder that is in charge of that proposal and will approve it to define the right things. But it's in your hands, basically.
Okay,
But
so
you
One
know
very
basically
the
there is no
payment will be.
system. We can
Sorry?
create a random system. There is no
Yes.
exactly,
system for the
Yes, and it's
exactly.
up to you and the stakeholder owner, the project owner, to come to a conclusion that makes both of you happy. And then I assume there will be some learnings there as well. So the next time you submit a proposal, you think, oh, damn, I forgot to add this, and you will do that. And the project owner, maybe from their side, will have similar insights as well. So I think especially bottom up, so the top-down projects, I expect them to emerge, especially if they have a certain scope, as RFPs on our platform. Maybe we'll have an RFP light, but we can already make them pretty light if we want. The bottom-up projects, you saw in the slides, creation of templates. I think what we need, I also mentioned that in the 3 Circle meetings that we had the past few weeks. We need to probably come up with some templates that will help us with some checklists so that we know we're not forgetting something. And this will also be a trajectory. Yeah? So we get 10 project proposals in, we'll compare them, and then we'll make a template out of that. And the next time we'll see some more and we'll improve it. And then over time it will be, yeah, we'll probably have a handful of templates for typical projects. I noticed, I don't have the window up, but I noticed a message from Vani asking to share the presentation. Yeah, of course, we're happy to do that. And you use the words, I think, mull it over. And that made me think, and this is really a thought of literally from the last 2 minutes. I can imagine that this is a lot of information for yourself and you need some time to reflect on it. And you don't have all the questions right now. But in the coming days, those questions will pop up. So maybe it would be good, and I'm looking now at Rafa and also both Rafas actually. Maybe we should repeat this session next week and then make it more like an AMA. And then it's your turn to ask us a question. What do you think?
Yeah, I was about to suggest an AMA. Yes, next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we could even put it in the town hall if you guys want, and save some time for that. Or do you think a different event would be better?
Whether this should be in the town, I don't know. I think this currently, I think most of the things are more internally focused than to a wider audience. Also, I think there's a lot of overlap anyway. So my suggestion would be to do it at this slot and then maybe not have the town hall. But that's also up to you. Ubio?
Oh yeah. So if there's gonna be an AMA, do I keep the questions? Right.
I think it's okay for you to bring yourself.
All right. Thank you.
Now, I mean,
Okay, yeah. So Jan, Rafa, all I can say is great work. From the first moment I heard this, I can see the progression in the thought, and I think you guys have finally solved the puzzle I had in my head when all of this came up, and I was like, I want to see how this particular puzzle will be solved. It was on the operational part. Like I was so concerned with how this is going to be very random and how this is going to be messy on the operational part, but hearing that operation remained the same and everything means this was given a lot of thought. And I want to say congratulations to you guys. You did a great and amazing job there. Running through implications, right? So first one, I just want to be sure that we're on the same page here. I think so. For example, using the deaf outreach cycle, we're trying to hire. I think it would be nice to pause that, right? Because that might not be extremely important in the coming days, right? The second thing is so I think I might be saying this next one for every other person. It seems that we have subtly come to a point where we've ended the era of rounds, right? Deep funding rounds. So people do not necessarily know what this means in this new structure, and especially being that in that particular slide, that was not addressed as well. So I'm sure that that question is in the mind of people. What about rounds? Does deep funding still continue? Do we expect rounds in the future? Will rounds come with a total different flavor? And probably all the guys that have been in the team trying to think about rounds, are they on pause or have they come up with something that aligns with this new strategy as well? Yeah, I think these are just some questions, top questions. There are a lot of other questions that are just fermenting here. I'm sure I'm coming for the AML well prepared.
Well, Ubio, first of all, thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate that. I certainly know this is a big change and people need to get accustomed to it. It might work out splendidly for some. It might work out also a little bit less for others. I don't know. But it's a big change. So getting these compliments from you means a lot. On the role that you posted, I scratched my head a little bit when I saw that. I thought, is this the best timing? But I also didn't see any harm in it because it's part of that recruitment process that we will see ongoing. I expect to continue to see. Actually, we have this great recruitment portal, which the WordPress team with Seth and Marcelo worked on, and our WordPress developers, Usman and Zohaib. And finally, it's done, and actually, all of you had input on that as well. And now we're getting to this whole different thing. But this is part of what made me think about that partner circle resource manager. We can still have roles, right? So if you in your team you want to propose something, but you're missing some particular capabilities or expertise or just hands that are not yet available in our community, yeah, there's still room to recruit people. We have to make sure that the expectations are clear. Recruiting means then you're becoming part of that partner circle as a kind of preferred supplier. That's how I would phrase it. It doesn't guarantee you any work, but you're the first one that people will reach out to. And you can be part of a team. It can help your reputation as well. So there are benefits, but we need to think about how to frame that exactly, and we need to find out in practice how that works. I
Jan,
see.
if I may add here one point as well, just that it's all based on projects, right? So you might also be suggesting a project, and you can bring someone new that's not even in that circle, and it's not going to be part of it because, if you remember, Ian presented, right? Selected team, invited teams, and then you have the community ones, and then you have the anyone, but you can also invite. So these roles are going to be very flexible as well.
Yeah. So we can have we thought about the wording there as well. Is it a community manager? No. Is it a resource manager? That sounds too much like old fashioned, but we see it as a service. It can be a service. We can maybe also put that in as service to projects. Hey, we have this team, but we're missing that. We don't know anybody. And then maybe that resource manager could put out that role for you and give you access or whatever. That could be, they could also do that for other partners. But I also see it as the middle person between that our community and a customer. A customer has maybe Singularity Net Marketing comes with certain expectations, and maybe we'll be able to fulfill that, or maybe not. Maybe they're looking for some specialism that we don't have to offer. And it would be such a pity if we would just have to say, no, sorry. I'd rather have a situation where we can say, wait, we don't have that person right now, but we'll go out and look for that person, and we'll continue looking until we have found somebody that will make you happy. And that's the way you want to work with partners, and that's the reason why we have that role. Now, last 3 minutes, rounds. I would say they're on pause and on hold, but they're not dead and buried. Um, there is no intrinsic reason why we couldn't do a round. If there's a partner or maybe another Web3 program or whatever that would like to do a round on our platform, everything is ready. We have the processes, we have the tools, we can start it tomorrow if we need to. However, knowing the situation and the goal-oriented approach from Singularity Net, my expectation is that they will rather put out an RFP with a long list of conditions than a round which is more catering for open-ended solution, although there is some overlap there. Having said that, Ubio, you also know my idea about merging hackathons and rounds in a way that you have multi-week hackathons and that we can use that functionality. And I think this would be a wonderful proposal to go to SingularityNet and say, hey, we want to do a hackathon, we want to do it in this, we have this. I would love that. I would definitely support that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I guess for all of this, the main key mindset is it's in your hand. So the answer to it will still have rounds. We are going to still have rounds, up to you. If you create a proposal that it's amazing for a round and goes through the approval process, or if you bring a partner that is willing to, we are going to have rounds, right? It's basically you giving the path to this to happen. That's what we are aiming in this new process, to give you more ways of making things happen on your behalf, on behalf of the Singularity Net ecosystem partners and so on.
I think that's all, folks. It's time. I have to go.
Yeah, me too.
Let it sink in. Write down all your questions. I'm sure you'll have a few questions that we don't have the answer on right away, that we need to think about, that makes us think. All of those questions are very welcome. OJ, you have your hand raised. I have 30 seconds left, so speak fast.
Good day, everyone. Actually, I'm going to take us a little bit back to like the discussion of restructuring. Um, the thing is, I wouldn't consider myself as an expert in my field, right? And
You have
this
10
is
seconds left. I really have to go now. So, and this sounds like a long introduction to a complex question. So maybe
the
you have to
question.
park it for the next session next week, or
Okay,
reach
can I
out on
still go?
Mattermost.
Okay, the question basically is, what is the future like for people who are trying to use deep coding as an avenue for growth, like people who are trying to like whose goal is to get hands-on experience from deep coding or from deep initiatives generally.
I'm not sure if I quite got, so you ask what the future is for a certain type of people, but I didn't quite get the characterization of that.
Yes, this set of people are people that, oh, they are not experts yet in their fields. They are just trying to like gain
There are
experience
no
and grow.
experts. Okay, yeah, yeah. We'll have to see. You can use whatever talents you have and whatever options you have and turn that into a proposal. That's one way I can give you. There might also be other areas. So we're working more closely with ambassadors and with BGI, and you can be part of those communities as well. Whether that always will turn into a monetary benefit, I don't know. I do think there will be a more clear relation to what you bring in value and what you get paid for, at least for the upcoming 6 to 12 months. What happens after that, we'll figure out when the time comes. Um, but to be honest, I think that was always the idea of deep funding, to have people. The way we created our organization is to build out our internal organization and let the community work on it instead of having something just with a small group. So the idea in Deep has always been that the community would do useful, valuable work. And you will probably need to have some level of expertise in some area, but it doesn't necessarily need to be development work. You can also maybe have a proposal for social media or for writing or for reaching out to people. If you can turn it into an appealing proposal that SingularityNet will say yes to, then there are no limitations. And on that, thank you for the question, OJ. And yeah, hope to see you and everybody back again that is interested next week. And we can follow up, and looking forward, a little bit scared about all the questions that you will bring to me. And I will just hope that I have good answers for them. But keep them coming. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raphael, for that. I know that it's been a lot of information. So, everybody, we're just going to end today's session now. We are going to receive the link to the slides on the All Circles channel. please go through them and come with your questions on Wednesday. Raphael, as always, we send the event link. So, same time, same place, same people, right? Thank you all for being here today. It was a good number. I think about 52 of us. Hopefully, we see 52 of us again on next week. And have a lovely rest of the day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thanks, Mariam.
you.
This was an easy hosting. You barely had to talk, Mariam.
That's like the easiest hosting, right? Thank you, Miriam, for hosting. We can stop
Bye-bye,
recording
everyone.
now.
Yes.